Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill Holstein. I'm on the board of the Overseas Press Club and past president, and our executive director, Patricia Kranz, will join us midway through the call. Today, we have a truly global conversation with people in Dublin, Ireland, New York, Montana, and Mumbai. It's an extraordinary opportunity to compare notes on how China is projecting power in the world and whether anything can or should be done about it. So we're going to start, and I should say that I've seen who's coming, who signed up, and we have a truly global audience as well as a global panel. People from Japan and Germany, India, the United States, multiple countries are observing what we're talking about today. So the way this call happened was that Manjeet Kripalani, seen here, and I and Tiff Roberts all worked at Business Week together many years ago. And so I keep in touch with Manjeet through her Gateway House newsletters, and I've seen her China work and been able to tell that India has been going through a real transition in its thinking about China. Then she hosted Tiff to talk about his book, The Myth of Chinese Capitalism. And so one thing led to another, and so the three of us became the ringleaders for this conversation today. So turning to our colleagues in Mumbai, tell us about why and how there seems to have been such a dramatic change in opinion in India about China's technological and infrastructure and projection of power. What's happened? Manjeet, why don't you start?
Sure. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be back in the comfort of Business Week colleagues in that comfort zone. So wonderful to be back. I think, Bill, what really happened with India is that we've been going through our own transition as a country and really trying to be independent of imports, etc. But after the pandemic broke out, China, under cover of the pandemic, came into our northern borders and stepped into our territory. And we are used to China doing that. They have a usual policy of doing 2 steps forward, and then they say into our territory, and then they say, but it's our territory, and we say, no, we negotiate. And so they take 1 step back, but then they've already made a step forward. So they've been making these intrusions for years. This time, however, what happened on the 15th of June, there was a fight, and the Chinese beat and bludgeoned to death our soldiers with primitive implements, which they weren't supposed to carry, and we lost 20 soldiers. And really that night of 15 June changed everything. So if India was feeling a little unsure about China, we'd already been very worried, particularly at Gateway House, with the kind of investments they were making in our startup sector and the kind of, Chinese phone companies had 80% of our markets. We worried about it terribly, but the government really understood what to do.
Did you say the Chinese phone companies have 80% of your market?
Yes, they had 80% because they were affordable phones.
Oh, handsets.
Yeah, handsets. Not the. And we'd been worried about it, but really people didn't pay it that much attention. But then it became a national security issue. Then everything with China became a security issue. And so the research that we had started to do, starting in 2016, on Chinese investments in our neighborhood, because they've been encircling us, started to play out, particularly last year when we published the Chinese investments outside of the Belt and Road Initiative in India, which is the virtual Belt and Road Initiative, because as you know, India has not, like the US, has not joined the Belt and Road. And this also brought India and the US closer together. We've been kind of, dating, but we never really announced an engagement with each other. And I think the perfidy of China has done that. It has brought India and the US together. And my colleagues have been in the trenches looking at this Chinese investments in India and what Chinese phones and their apps have been doing. And it's been pretty devastating.